My name is Ada. I'm gay.
Take a good look at yourself. You wake up in the morning, open up the shop, work. Your life is so boring.
My life might not be too exciting, but at least I'm not hurting anybody. Where this come from? ZATURNNAH?
I'm a girl. I'm a girl. Look! I'm a full-blooded girl!
Hi.
Isn't she the prettiest thing?
I'm not too sure about this.
Ada, this is called destiny. The universe chose you so you can save the world.
I'm not a superhero. I'm not a girl. And I'm certainly not wearing these rags.
All your future customers are gonna die if you don't do anything. You can fly, and you've got super strength.
How very, very interesting.
Boom, there you go. That was the trailer for ZSAZSA ZATURNNAH, a new animated project from Rocketsheep Studios and my good friend Avid Liongoren, and probably messing up his name up, but he is amazing. You're going to see him in a second. I'm Kuya P. This is Nerds Rule the World, and this is the ShoPowSho. So, of course, it's the Adobro, the Babinka Boy, the leader of the Hala Hala homies in the Cine Gang, ready to drop another ShoPowSho for y'all. And I'm so excited for our guest today. It's Avid Liongoren. I'm going to bring him up on the screen right now. You see him. I'm shooting off air horns, Avid. We are so excited to have you here. It's in post, so I don't deafen you. I know you know as a filmmaker as well. I don't want to deafen you because you're amazing. Thank you for coming on to ShoPowSho.
Hello, humans of the world.
It is a pleasure to chat with you. There's my dog. Lily Bell is back again. I know you like dogs too, Avid. Thank you for coming on. So, ZSAZSA ZATURNNAH, let's start off with that. I'm changing up my formula right now because I want to promote this amazing Kickstarter project because we need to see it funded. I need this film in my life. I know this is your passion project. I just showed the trailer. Let's talk about it. How did this happen? What's going on with this project? How did it all start? Let's start there.
Well, it's based on this graphic novel that I read 20 years ago, and it's an awesome graphic novel. It's like when I first picked it up, I was laughing, and then that graphic novel got adapted into a musical. And like when I first watched that musical, it was my first time experiencing laughing for 2 hours straight. So, and I waited 2 decades to be able to work on the film, and now we're here. So, and animation takes so long, so we've been working on this for like 4 years now. It's gonna take 2 more years, and yeah, so it's one of those blood, sweat, and tears type of projects.
Amazing, and it looks so gorgeous. I just love the themes in it. Everything about it is just brilliant. And oh, let me first shout out though, Budget Tan. Everybody, y'all know Budget Tan from Trece, former guest of ShoPowSho. He is the best, and he put me in touch with Avid. So I just want to give him props. I love Budget, and Avid, again, you are amazing, and this project is absolutely amazing. The Kickstarter goal right now, where about are we? How can people support it? I'm gonna put the link in the description so people can immediately go there to go help fund it. So where about are we now to get where we need to be?
We just scratched 80%, which is really cool, but also scary because it means now that we've kind of gone past half, it slowed down. Like it used to be like when I'd hit refresh, it would go up. Now it's been a day and it's been 2 days and it's like barely going up. I think it's like, I need to remind folks that, Kickstarter is all or nothing. So whatever we raise goes away if we don't hit the goal. So yeah, so we're in a great place, but also in a scary place. So
how much, as of this recording, it's August 15th here in America. I think August 16th in the Philippines right now in Manila. How much longer do we have to get there?
We have about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And 2 weeks and about just $8,000 to go. Oh, about $9,000 to go, thereabout. So like I said, it's it's great that we've got this far, but also scary because we can literally see how much it slowed down, um we're still constantly putting things out, like we're still churning out the same a decent amount of like behind the scenes and like little memes here and there, but the funding, the pledges have really slowed down the past 2 or 3 days. So it's like, I think people think that, they're cool, they're gonna reach their goal, but that's a hard spot to be in, because yeah, like I said earlier, it's all or nothing, so it could all go away if we don't reach it. So
Definitely. I've ran Kickstarter campaigns before. I've supported a lot of Kickstarter campaigns. I know what you mean. And ones you think it's gonna get there, and then oof, they don't meet it, and it's such a heartbreaker. So let's, and people, ShoPowSho people, fans, let's make this happen. Let's not let it go poof. Let's make this happen. Let's talk about the project and why people should support it. You said how it kind of came to you. It's a passion project, but let's get into the nitty-gritty details. We showed the trailer a second ago. Tell them what it's about, and just the importance of the representation within it. That to me is so important. And just also just as a culture, as a people, this is so Filipino. Just everything in it is so beautiful, and it's us. Please, Avid.
yeah, so when I first read it, this was 20 years ago, and uh I think it was my first experience reading a character. Prior to that, I used to think all gay people just wanted to be was female. So I had a very a very straight cis, very narrow worldview. Like I didn't understand what the rainbow was at all. That like how big the spectrum is. So reading it is like, and we come from a culture that the Philippines is very LGBTQ friendly for a while now, but still, uh, we have a lot of famous gay actors, but they're always the butt of the jokes. It's been like that for quite a while. They're the comic relief. So reading it with a gay man being the lead, and he wasn't the butt of the jokes. He had problems. He had aspirations. It was like, okay, this is new, and he doesn't actually want to be a girl, because that's all it meant to me. All gay people want to be women. Very, very narrow. So reading it, and there's this complex story of suddenly finding himself in the body of a woman and all that drama that comes with it. It's like, it blew my mind. At the same time, it was making me laugh. So it's like, okay, this is so good. I'm learning so much from this, and it's the book that opened my worldview to understand the spectrum of people. So, and like again, like watching the first time it was adapted into musical, um there was so much joy in it, and I just carried it, and I wanted to be able to do it in animated form somehow, but it takes a long while to gather everything. At first I didn't have the resources, and I didn't have the experience, so I had to wait literally 2 decades to be able to do this. So yeah, and it's a film that has zombies and giant cocks, and giant monster cocks, not the porn type, but giant frogs and
Yes.
all sorts of like weird monsters. It's like a really fun time, very kitschy, and it's a celebration of people, of our people, and also design wise, like um what making this film means to me, as aside from the queerness of it all, is we're trying to do something as a small studio, because we're a small independent Filipino studio, and as some of you may know or may not know, a lot of the cartoons in the world are done in the Philippines. So much of it is anime. We have huge animation studios here that do all your Cartoon Network stuff, do all the Dragon Ball, Toei stuff. It's animated right here in the Philippines. But we're not known for making our own cartoons. Like, there's been 100 years of Philippine cinema. There's been less than a dozen animated feature films. So the disparity, like, we the Philippine film industry churns out at its height, it churns out like 300 films a year. Now we're down to maybe like 50 films a year, but still, that's still a lot for a small country. But animation is not, despite having all the animation talent, all the great animation talent that we have here in the Philippines, we don't get to make our own. So yeah, so that's what it means for me as an artist to not just rep our culture, but show that we can make our own stuff as well. So, but it's hard. That's why we're running a Kickstarter.
Yes. I'm so happy this exists, Avid, for all of those reasons. And I love it. And I'm so thankful for you and your team, because it's just going to be so important, not only for us as a people, as a culture, for the LGBTQIA community, to see it. Because like you said, you feel empowered when, and you feel not alone. And with all of us that, go through stress and drama, and sometimes those, a lot of people that know the ShoPowSho, one of the major motivators for me in doing ShoPowSho and Nerds Ruler and being a creative in general, I almost ended myself, and I knew that I didn't want to get to that point again. And so I've been so inspired to never reach that point. And through this work and through the work you're doing, when people see this, it will help them. And I know for myself, it'll help stop those tendencies when we feel that, we just want to give up. So I think this is so important, and we're going to reach this goal, y'all. Y'all are going to support this because we need this, and it's so important.
Yeah, and another cool thing about our Kickstarter is that like many Kickstarters are just Kickstartering to make a comic, for example. Here, the graphic novel is a reward. Like you at a very low tier, you get access to the graphic novel, and if we gain more money, we'd love to color the graphic novel, and we're gonna have like the first English version of the graphic novel. The graphic novel was made by Carlo Vergara, awesome writer, awesome illustrator, and when he made this book 2 decades ago, he was in a bad place. Like what you were saying, like art literally saved his life. So he made it because he was in such a bad place, and it lifted his spirits. And the book has been this beacon to so many people as well. Like you said a while ago, it shows them that they're not alone. And to some, it's a book that shows you like self-determination and just, yeah, how much being yourself means to the world. So the story is, our protagonist goes out and fights all these massive, fantastic threats, from zombies to giant monsters. But then his biggest challenge is to learn how to love again, because he's been so afraid to open up his heart, because his heart has been broken so many times. But after all the giant threats and all that, it's really risking his heart to love again. That's what's scary for him. So
I love this. Oh, I'm such an empath of it. So just love everything about this. This is going to be so beautiful. We have to make this happen. And in regards to make it happen, let's talk about if people support the film, the tiers, because that's one of the beautiful things about Kickstarter. Like you said, they'll get the graphic novel, even at the lowest tier. They can be drawn into a comic, into the film, and they can be a zombie. I'm one of those supporters in that realm too. Let's talk about that, just so we can get people to support the project. Just ways what can happen when you support the project.
Yeah. Okay. So we start with just $1. Of course, you have our eternal gratitude with $1, and we'll send you all a bunch of like artworks that you can use as wallpapers, and it's a wallpaper pack. So gratitude, eternal gratitude and you get points in heaven. And at $5, you get the screenplay plus all the previous reward, plus you get to read our film, whether you're taking a dump or just in the train, but you get to preview the film ahead of everyone else just by reading the wonderful screenplay by Carlo Vergara. Carlo Vergara is the guy who created the character, made the graphic novel, and also wrote the screenplay. So we have fealty to the OG graphic novel.
Awesome.
At $15, we're putting together a digital art book. It will contain the designs of all the characters, the cool concept art, and it's gonna be at least 100 pages. If we make more money than we're supposed to, then we'll add more pages to this digital art book. And at $25, See, you get a copy of the graphic novel, the original graphic novel. This will be the first time that the graphic novel is in English. It was originally in Filipino. So Carlo himself did a great translation of the book. So we're doing that right now. So that's 25. Plus, of course, everything. So you get this, of course, everything before that. Now at $50, see, just at $50, you get to be a part of the film already. We'll put your name or maybe your shout out, like you go like Jomar Pakyu, I don't know. Like we'll put it in the background. We'll put your name in the background somewhere, and then we'll give you that screenshot when the film is finished, So but
dope.
you will be there. You will be embedded. Your name will be part of the film. As well as here at $25, you already get part of the thing. You get you're part of the credit list already. So here your name is literally in a scene in the film.
That's awesome.
Now, here's where it starts to get cool. $100, we'll design a cartoon version of you. You'll get your character sheets and you'll be in the scene. You'll be one of the people like chilling in the background or running away from giant monsters and stuff like that. So that's 100. And of course, everything from before. And at 250, you get to be a zombie as well as a townsfolk. Some people have taken the 250 and said that, hey, can we be me and my boyfriend, can we just be townsfolk? So you could request that sort of thing. But of course, it's much more fun to be a zombies, and you'll get your character sheets for that as well.
Wow.
And postcards, physical. This is where we start giving out the physical postcards. So we'll send you postcards from the film. Now at 1,000, we jump to 1,000, and we'll make you, after the film is done its festival premieres and done the distribution route, will make you a custom Blu-ray with your name on the cover and with a custom like intro greeting video. And if you ever come to the Philippines, you could join us and watch do the internal screening with us. And so and of course everything from before.
Yeah.
And at $2,000, you get to be an associate producer. You'll get a card that says associate producer, and we'll make watercolor artworks for you of ZSAZSA, like original three watercolors, and I'll be the one making it, and it'll be signed by and your prints from your, we'll make physical prints of your character sheets. So you'll have a lot of character sheets. You as a zombie, because every there'll always be a character sheet and your scene in the film. So those will all be prints, and the team will sign it. And it's going to be like this massive package that we'll send over to you. So far, like 3 people have availed this. So we're super blessed that they kicked in that much, and we can't wait to start making artworks for them. So yeah, that
is amazing.
Of it all.
Avid, that is so amazing. I think I gotta step my game up, because I've been talking to family. I think I want to maybe even get my whole family in there, and I just want to make this happen. So everybody, let's make this a reality. Just so super sweet, so cool, and just so amazing. Look at that. Look at that. You can be a townsfolk in this animated film that's going to be so important and just so beautiful and just so dope. Like, who wouldn't want this? Like, I'm so excited about this, Avid.
Yeah, cool.
All right, y'all, there you go. You just saw all the different tiers of this amazing Kickstarter campaign for ZSAZSA ZATURNNAH. Y'all, please support this project. I think I'm going to be up in my support as well, because I think I want to get the whole family involved. I'd like to see the rest of my family animated and appearing this, and just because I want to see this happen. We need to make this a reality. It's so dope, and I'm excited for
someone actually requested that. Could it be my dog? They were like, "Oh, sure, we'll have your dog." Like, instead of a zombie, could it be me and my dog? Okay,
let's do it. That would be so dope. And yeah, so all you animal lovers out there, let's support it in every facet, because again, it's just so amazing culturally, in its spirit, and what it can do just for everyone. And it will be, I'm sure, extremely entertaining. And I cannot wait. So thank you, Avid, for breaking that down. We're gonna make this a reality. But in my reality right now, though, because it's so amazing, we want to know the man behind the person, the being, the entity, the spirits, the energy that is Avid Liongoren. Liongoren, I know I was gonna mess it up.
All right. Everybody messes it up here as well. So even my friends mess it up. So it's cool.
So how I like to start our ShoPowSho, and maybe I think this will go into the explanation that you were telling me earlier about your name.
Yeah.
I like to start our ShoPowSho with before we talk about ourselves, let's talk about the people and the reasons how we came here, the people before. You were telling me about how you got this name. Let's talk about that, and were there artists prior to you? Who gave you this talented skills that are in your DNA? Let's talk on that.
Yeah, well, first the weird last name. So, my last name is weird because it doesn't exist. My grandfather didn't know how to read and write, and it was wartime. So when he signed up for the registry, he fucked up his last name. So, his last name is different from his siblings' last name. So we're the only Liongoreans in the world. It's supposed to be Liongoren. So it's like but he mashed it up because he didn't. Yeah, so because he was illiterate at that time. So yeah, so that's why we are the last of our line, literally. And I know art because I literally grew in it. My father is a painter and my mom is an art dealer. I was born into a little art gallery in Metro Manila. So my father painted, my mom sold artworks of my dad, and as well as represented other artists. So I kind of have like a different artist origin story. Like most artists, have parents who don't want them to go into art. I was literally born into it. So
That is amazing and such a blessing, as I'm sure you know, as a
yeah,
creative, like you have that support that is built
yeah,
in.
yeah. I'm like it's weird. Like I I see that like how many people, many creative people struggle with just getting approval from their parents. For me, it's like my parents' approval doesn't matter in the sense that I grew up with it. Like your parents' love for your work is the baseline. Like no matter what you do is, you know, you're good in their eyes. So uh I didn't realize how special that was until much later when like I talked to my friends who would say like, they work so hard just for their parents to think to get that, like for their parents to say, hey, you made a nice script, or you made, like I was drawing little ants and and stick figures, and it was great in the eyes of my parents from an early age. So I had that kind of assurance growing up. So I'm not seeking validation so much from the outside world because I was raised with so much validation in my art already. So I didn't know how weird that was until much later. How special
Wow.
that was. I mean,
Yeah.
like, um, yeah. So, it's good as a filmmaker because like we make things that are brought out into the world, and of course, people will, it will always be a mix. Once you release something, it belongs to the people now. So people will say what they want, and of course, and if you, as a filmmaker, you know that you release something and you could have 1,000 great comments, 1,000 compliments, but one shitty comment will break your heart,
True. So true.
But given that, I bounce back very quickly because it's like, I don't even know you, like, and my parents love me, so like,
Love that. So let's talk about growing up as an artist kid. Let's start from birth, 0 to age 10. What was it like being the child of an art in an art family, being raised in the Philippines? Let me know, what you can remember and what was that like, and some of maybe your early artistic influences. That did it start from them because of them, or did you were you like into just everyday things and all of a sudden what was the first something artistic that you like really found that you got into it? 0 to 10, if you can.
Yeah, 0 to
take it
10.
back.
So like, I think I don't know if this is a memory or if this is something that my parents just kept telling to me that it has become a memory. I can't discern anymore. But my earliest memory of drawing was I'd have been like 3 years old, and it was my grandfather's wake, the same grandfather who fucked up our last name. And he had died, and I was at the wake. I don't remember him, but I remember his wake. And I was a child, and I was bored, and my mom gave me her her phone book. You know, back in the days before we had cell phones, people had little booklets where they wrote cell phone numbers. And I was bored. She gave me a ball pen, and I filled it up with like ants and people and little houses. So it's like all evening. You know, if you're not familiar, wakes in the Philippines are long. They're like, it's a vigil. You stay with your family, and it's like a weird celebration where there's food, people are gambling. So as a kid, you have nothing to do. The adults are just there talking, celebrating the life of the deceased. And so I stood there. I just sat in one corner, filled up that drawing, filled up that little phone book with drawing, and that was pretty much the first time I remember drawing. And we were allowed to draw on whatever, you know, like everything, all the paper in the house was given to us, like scratch paper, and I'd keep drawing on it. And so yeah, it was really just drawing. And my father, our house had this big studio where, you know, he would just paint in it, and I just pick up stuff and make my own things with it. And the first things I remember drawing in school were Transformers, Superman, and Ninja Turtles. So, and but the fondest memory my father has of me as a child was I came home and said that business is good because I've been selling 1 peso drawings of Ninja Turtles and Transformers. So I was like, I came home.
How did you even think to do that?
I think it was like I was in grade school and I was drawing, and somebody said, "Hey, can I have that?" And I said, "Give me 1 peso." And they gave me 1 peso, and like, okay, this could be money. So I think on that day I came home with like 20 pesos drawing like Transformers, and I was like, I showed my dad. It's like, look, business is good. And my dad was like, "Oh, so you got your mom's art entrepreneurial skill, you know?" So,
Wow.
so that's been the thing. And I guess based on that, I guess I am the synthesis of my parents in that my father has been this classic artist who doesn't give a shit about money, who would just paint what he wants. And my mom would be the one who would find the market for these things and keep us fed, you know, like my father would paint, but isn't the kind of person who would like attend opening shows and market and all that sort of stuff because he just wants to paint. He's the classic artist who just doesn't care about selling. But my mom was able to build a house, you know, because of selling artwork. So, and that's where I found myself in, kind of like being an entrepreneur with art, because you know you need the art form I chose, which is film, needs money. So it's not like you take a blank canvas and do painting and you have a very low cost. But I am unfortunate to be in this medium that requires a lot of people, manpower, time to create something.
That's amazing. I love that you are the combination of both of your parents. That's beautiful. So we're at 0 to 10. We're now in school. We have like this innate talent that we got from our parents, but you find your own passion for it, right? Because obviously you can also sell and draw Ninja Turtles for pesos, which is super cool. But when we then take our talents to professional learning, when we take it to school, I know as a creative, and you kind of spoke on this kind of like with your father, he just wants to create regardless of money, he just creates. But then I think when we take, and maybe I'm speaking for myself as well, like I fell in love with art and with comic books. So I was like drawing Batman, Superman, Ninja Turtles. But then when I went to school and then I would get professional training in art class, they didn't want you drawing that. They want you to learn still life. They want you to learn this. And it kind of takes away from the passion because, no, I want to draw this. So what was that like for you? So like you found your passion for it, but then learning the educated side of things, did that take away from your passion, or did you find a newfound appreciation? Because I think I started getting into clay, and I found other mediums of expression, and so I dug that. But then, how was like education with art, and how did that play with you, if you will?
Yeah, funny you said that. Like, like most children, like most, kids, we think we're the greatest in the world. Like for me, a child of the 90s, like I just wanted to draw like Rob Liefeld. Like I
Right,
remember.
the image. Like I was Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld. I'm with you.
So I remember like collecting X-Force, and like Rob Liefeld was the best artist for me in the world. And then there was this one issue where Mike Mignola filled in, and I was like, this is terrible. This is terrible. Where is the Rob Liefeld art? And now, as an adult, you like you look at how fine Mike Mignola's work is, like the play and the shadows, the figures, how the characters have so much emotion, and all Rob Liefeld knows how to draw is gritted teeth and action poses. It's like, what's wrong with people? What's wrong with children? It's like, yeah. So given that, I went into art school, and of course you have to learn figure drawing, because of course, as a high schooler, I was drawing comics. I was the kind of kid that I'd idolize the works of the image people, especially upon learning that Will Sportacio is Filipino.
Oh, I felt so like seen. We have somebody. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was the kind of kid who would read Wizard and keep sending artworks, trying to make it on the cover or the letter section. I was that kid, and every time there was a tryout, I'll try out. So I was really into comics, and I went with that mindset into art school. And in art school, they tend to break you. They tell you that you shouldn't, okay, that's great, but let's do fundamentals now. As a child, as a young person, you're rebelling. You're like, this is bullshit. I want to draw comics. I want to draw action poses. I don't want to draw Roman sculptures or all that boring stuff. Why are we studying light and shade and stuff like that? But then now, as an adult, as an old person who mentors a lot of young artists, because our studio takes on maybe like 50 interns every year. So I'm going through, the first thing I tell them is that before you draw anime, before you draw Marvel, or even while you're drawing these things, before you dive deep into Disney style, learn your fundamentals, learn the boring stuff, draw from life. Because look outside the window, draw what you see, draw. As a young artist, you want to draw robots, you want to draw superheroes, you want to draw fight scenes. But then as you get older, you realize just how great art is when it's portraying the boring stuff. Like, I remember before reading Marvel comics, all you ever want to see are fight scenes. But then you slowly get into something like Vertigo, and how they portray inventive they can be when they're showing people talking, and the version, and I think it was Jim Lee who said that, when like, I'm great with fight scenes, but I struggle with showing a person standing in the kitchen. And that was profound to me. It's like, if Jim Lee himself is humbled by people who can draw people standing in the kitchen, then there must be something more to this learning to draw from life, like learning to portray the small. So that has informed me ever since, like I went from big things, wanting to draw fantastic things, to appreciating boring things, like, and how well it can be portrayed in art.
So very true. Same. It's you again. It takes age and wisdom, years to understand. There's a reason for all of that, and
Yeah.
love that. And your life echoes mine in a lot of ways with Wizard magazine, trying to make it. I love that. So yeah. So growing up, you're learning, you're finding out the important things you need to do to be a better artist. You have that in your genes. What I also like to touch upon with ShoPowSho and your life journey is, I love to celebrate that we are Filipino. What was that
Hey.
like? Because I'm sure you're getting a lot of American TV. You're seeing and you're becoming yourself. What was learning that I'm a Filipino? I am here, and then you see Americans and then Black people, Hispanic people, learning about the cultures of the world, and also LGBTQIA. You know, am I gay? Am I this or that? You know, what was that like for you growing into yourself as
Yeah.
well?
Yeah, so I'm raised on Marvel and Disney and anime, so everything but Filipino. So you go into art school and the compliment for you, what a compliment is saying, somebody saying, hey, you draw like Jim Lee, or hey, you draw like Rob Liefeld, or hey, later on it's like, oh, your work is like Dave McKean's. So it's always aping your idol who is a foreigner. But I wasn't into here's the shitty thing about me. It's like, since my father is an artist, I didn't like local art. Because as with every teenager, you tend to not think your parents are cool. So I shut myself out from all the talent that we had here. I lived in a gallery, literally lived in an art gallery, and I thought all of this is corny. The only thing that's cool is Marvel Comics. So like I was, you know, literally disowning the Philippines. The only thing that's cool, you know, is what I see in this medium. And I didn't know then what that meant, like what hegemony, how do you pronounce that? Hegemony. But you know, the cultural, how deep that is, like the cultural imperialism of all these first world nations, you know, like taking over the minds of people and literally disowning what they have. So yeah, it took a really long while before I started looking into, hey, I don't want to be a wannabe. I don't want to be. I like I used to think, because I'd be trying out. I used to try out a lot for comics, and I'd do anime style, and it was a compliment when somebody would tell me that you have a very you got that manga style down, and I'm like, it, that was a compliment until I realized that that's not so cool. I need to figure out my own style. So I think it was in somewhere around 2006 ish. I was already an adult, like already working. I've done a lot of things, and even my film work, 'cause I've always been mixing illustration and animation and live action, because I do a lot of things. I shoot, I draw, and it was the prevalent thing about local creativity in the Philippines is called the peg. Are you familiar with the term peg?
Somewhat. I think I do, but I'm not entirely sure. If you can
Yeah,
explain
so
for the
peg-
audience.
Yeah, so we always say, what's your peg for each project? So I used to think that's a foreign term, but because it's in English, but it means actually, it's short form for what are you copying?
Ah, yeah.
So you say you say it like you say peg instead of copying, or you say it like reference. But that's always been us. Like, we have so much talent, you know.
Yeah.
That's, you know, even in our singers, you know, somebody would be a local Mariah Carey, or a local this, a local that. We're always trying to be versions of something that's more famous. And
Mhm.
that used to be a compliment. It probably still is, because, you know, it just shows how much talent there is. But it's sad for our national identity, because we're brown
Yes.
people. We don't look anything like them, and we have our own things. We're supposed to have our own thing. So I started my career making music videos, and I'd always look at the works of the people, the directors that I like, whether it be Michel Gondry or Mark Romanek, and I do a version of that. And that was enough for me. That was like cool, because it's like, oh, it looks like the work of that is the compliment you were chasing, to look like the work of these foreign people. never to be your own. So it took a really long while to realize, to actually even desire to want to be, um because I was getting work based on that, and people would think it's cool because yours is a localized version of something that's popular. So that's how I'd approach every project. I'd be given a music video assignment, and I'd take this cool video, and you're not copying frame by frame, you're not plagiarizing, but you are guided by wanting to look like a local version of something foreign. So I did this project for 4 straight years where I would make an artwork every single day just to find myself. So it's called, sorry, where is that?
I think like my project 365. I actually saw it earlier when I was
Yeah.
prepping for today. So dope, man. You are so talented.
So that was the thing. So I said, okay, I just need to find myself, and need to figure out my own style, like not for anything, just to see what I could make without trying to be somebody else. So then in the process, you realize like, hey, people are liking my work for what it is. And so that's cool. So when we set out to do the first feature film called Saving Sally, and we brought it out to the world, and we were doing festivals around the world, the thing people like most about it is the cultural specificity, like how we drew Metro Manila in our backgrounds, how we drew, and like the textures of it all, the visuals, and it's all just, and we weren't trying to be unique, we were simply drawing what was outside our window. So just that. So the simple act of repping, it means so much. It already sets you apart. So here I was trying to be Rob Liefeld, trying to be Jim Lee. Then all I had to do was just make my own stuff, and you get noticed more for it. So
Yes.
yeah, and it's a long journey. So that's why I understand when I talk to young people that all they want to do is anime or ape the Disney style. So it's like, I just let them know that, that's cool. That's how you learn. But know that if we are going to make a name for ourselves, we need to find that elusive Filipino style together. Let's bang our heads. Let's someday we'll have the way anime is Japanese and Disney is American, we'll have somebody look, oh, this is Filipino. And that ties to a lot of things, like, because even as a culture, as a people, we have a hard time because we've been subjugated by so many
Exactly.
forces that, and even our diaspora, like the Chinese always have Chinatowns and Koreans have Koreatowns. Filipinos, they come to a country, they disappear, they blend, never to be seen again. So
Yeah.
so it's a lot of things are riding on this project, like Malaysia, who's very similar to us. They are brown brothers, but they figured out, they like a little over 2 decades ago, they got tired of importing cartoons and other shows and having to dub them in local in Malaysia. That's a problem. Another problem as well with the Philippines is that since we speak English, we just keep importing this stuff and we watch it as is. So at least the Malaysians, they got tired of having to dub stuff for their children to understand. So they started making their own cartoons. They started with Upin and Ipin, little brown boys living in the province and having kampung houses. So again, the power of repping your culture. And now Malaysia is like this amazing hotspot for animation. It's like, of course you have your America, you have your Japan, you have your France, which are all great spots for animation. And you have Malaysia, where their local animated films are blockbuster hits. They make more money than foreign films. So that's a dream for any culture, like especially for us, which is, we envy a country like Korea, who just in 3 decades ago didn't have that. Now they are a culture, they have soft power going out, like, because they they were like any other country post World War II that was devastated, and somehow they got their soft power to act together. So that's our dream for us, to be able to export it for people to want to be us instead of us wanting to be them, because that's what we've always been. That's being part of Filipino, like, because our passports are so weak. We wish we were something else other than Filipino.
So true. There's so much self-hate that we have in our
Yes.
community, and it hurts. And first off, thank you for sharing all of that. I completely agree with everything you're saying and trying to do with your work and with your studio. It's so important because I want my daughter and my family to feel seen and know that that's there and that we can be everything we want to be as well. And that's why we have to. This is why I love this hat. Why we have to make history now. Why we have to create the change now so that what we didn't have can now exist for future generations. And as Filipinos, as you know, we are so beautiful. We are so talented. We are so amazing. But yet we admire others and we don't have that for ourselves. And so it's so important that creatives like ourselves do the work now so that way they can live with that and have that going forward. So beautiful. Actually, that brings up a question of mine that's also something I talk to a lot of artists, and what I wanted to start talking with other artists with ShoPowSho in regards to art, in regards to what we're doing, and we're trying to create the change now and the change for the future. What the art community is facing right now is AI. What are your thoughts on that? Because I think in ways it helps, and for those that aren't so talented, it's a medium to help do things, but it's also very destructive in a lot of ways as well to us as artists, because how like we mimic other artists, they're taking artists that we love, like you said, putting that into a system, which then allows them to mock that and create whole features off of aping off of our talents. What are your thoughts on it? Because I feel I have so many emotions about that, and I'm curious what my fellow artists think. And with you being so talented as well, Avid, what do you think about AI?
Yeah, first it was very hard to process because, like I said, my career was built on copying. Like I started copying. So
Yeah,
okay, so somebody just automated that copying part. So how is this different? But then, as you read more into it, you realize that a person copying what they see, of course, there's plagiarism, and you could fight that as well. But it's different from taking 1 million artworks and having a computer generate something out of it, because that's a different medium, and that needs consent. So, you can't stop a person from covering a song or redrawing the Mona Lisa, but you need consent if you're gonna take that song and repackage it as your own. So on the technical level, on the legal level, generative AI is wrong because they didn't get the consent of the artist to be part of that platform and type, I want to see Mickey Mouse in Jim Lee style. So the fact that Jim Lee is mentioned there, he didn't give consent to be in that platform. So I think that's where my brain settled on. I'm not against AI. AI is, again, that's it's part of technology. It's moving that, but they went about it wrong. The consent part, they didn't, and there's just this recent breakthrough where the artists won against the Stable Diffusion people. The courts of the United States said that, hey, you are copyright infringing. You really didn't get, that's copyright infringement because you didn't get consent. So I hope that progresses and we get more protection as artists. Again, there are two brains to me here. First, there's the nature of art, like I said a while ago, that we're copying, and there's this realization there's this self-reflection on the hubris of artists. The thing about us artists is that for the longest time we thought we were irreplaceable, that our skills set us apart, that our skills make us special. With AI, it made it very apparent that we are no different from any manual worker. like that. From a bus driver, from a construction worker, we all have skills that could be easily replaced by machines and abused by the powers that be. By the capitalists. They would as soon as throw you away as soon as they can do your work cheaper. So what I realized with this is that all this time as artists, we should have had solidarity with manual workers because we were not different from them as well. Because now um, we appeal for protection of our livelihoods to the government to protect our livelihoods as artists, which is no different from how governments should be protecting the livelihoods of laborers, of workers, factory workers. You don't just toss them away because you found robots to do their job cheaper. People have a right to livelihood. People have a right to live, to eat. So your government should be protecting you, should be protecting those rights and not just throw you away. So yeah, so that's like the deep, this, aside from the art side, there is that, oh, we should have, it's like this humbling realization that we should have stood with the workers all this time. I should not have set that aside, like thinking, you should have upskilled or you should have learned a different craft that is, recession proof and all that. Because this isn't, AI is a bunch of rich people thinking of ways to do things cheaper. It is not, it's not about advancing art. It's not about lowering it's not about gatekeeping skills. It's about rich people wanting to do things cheaper. So it should have always been us against them, not us against our fellow workers, So yeah, so that's one of like the deeper things I realized that all this like here in the Philippines, we had this recent thing about jeepneys being phased out. So of course, jeepneys, if you've been in the Philippines, are terrible pieces of transportation. They're old, they're not comfortable, they're and it's not very efficient. But it's there for a reason because it's what the people can afford, it's what the drivers can afford. Yeah, there are a lot of shitty drivers, but when our government introduced the phase out scheme for all the jeepneys, and people were very quick to say this should happen because for the same reasons I said, that the drivers are terrible, that these needs to be modernized. But yes, we need to modernize, but we need to protect livelihoods. We need to protect, these people have families, these people have, so we can't just say, hey, buy new Jeeps. But that's why they're driving the shitty jeepneys in the beginning, in the first place, because they can't afford better transportation, and the people riding them can't afford taxi. So there's this whole ecosystem that we should be taking care of, like as people to people. So same with art, so we should protect livelihoods and we should protect the culture of it all. And yeah, so it's just a lot of things, and people who think that they are artists because they could type a few words are just the kind of people who think they are chefs because they ordered pizza. So,
So true.
so yeah, it's a lot of things, and I hope it gets better. And at the same time, as a producer, filmmaker, I live with the existential dread that by the time I finish my film, they'd have figured out how to make that film in 2 days for less money or no money, and I can't make a living with the craft that I do. So it's an existential threat because very well that if people can find a way to do something cheaper, they would go with that and they wouldn't give a shit about your livelihood. So it's made me more sympathetic to the livelihoods of other people. So like if you could, you don't just go for the cheaper option, you go for what keeps a scene alive.
Agreed. It's so scary, and I think we all know as Filipinos that the reason why, let's be completely honest, we know that they're coming to the Philippines for the cheaper labor already right now. And if you're to just do this, it just cuts it even more, and it's so terrifying. It's literally scary. It's a nightmare. And thank you for sharing all that, Avi, because it's it's something we're conversating as artists and as creatives, as filmmakers, that is going to affect us. We know it's going to affect us, and it's up to us to see how we can control it to a degree, or just kind of how we can make it best for all of us.
The nice thing that I saw recently was that since generative AI has been making so much stuff and filling the internet with it, it is now learning off generated images that it generated. So it's getting shittier because it's not learning from it's learning from the shit it put out. So it's like photocopying a photocopied image already. So it's kind of poisoning its own, because it's getting harder to detect what is AI and what is not. So other learning platforms are learning off the AI generated images, so they're not getting better anymore. So and people are more protective of their artworks. Like, I personally have stopped uploading personal artwork to my page because of fear of being scraped. So there's that, and of course the recent wins of artists against stable diffusion, and all that. So there is some hope, and I hope it gets better.
Definitely. In regards to art, I would like to talk about what we do, or what you do, when you get blocks, when you feel creatively blocked. How do you overcome just creative blockage, and like, what do you do to get back into the spirit, or to just reconnect, refresh, and then attack back at what you need to do?
You go out to eat shawarma or fish balls, or shopao in your case. Food is the greatest, for me. It's the greatest inspiration. It's like a good meal does wonders to the brain. So it's a simple, for me. It's like, let's go out to a restaurant or a canto, like a street vendor, and just chill, eat, and have new input. Like, it's a small conversation with the person serving your food, or chilling out with manong fish balls and just talking about stuff, and the input. There's always something from external input that gets you going. So you could stare at the screen or the piece of paper all you want. You're not gonna get anything new. If you're blocked, you're blocked. But if you go out and you have a good meal, then so
I agree. What are some of your favorite things to do besides arts? What are other things that keep you enlightened?
I like to eat.
Yeah. Do you cook?
I learned during the pandemic, because I used to live in our studio used to be located. I used to live and work in this place called Teachers Village, which for over 2 decades, for nearly 2 decades I lived there. And it's like this creative community that has a lot of restaurants. So I didn't have to cook. But when the pandemic happened, all the restaurants closed. So I had to learn how to cook. It was the first time I learned how to cook rice. Shameful Filipino, not knowing how to cook rice. And I learned how to cook rice. So yeah, so I learned how to cook then. But now that the world has opened up, so I'm most happy when I am buying food and taking it to the cinema. So that's my favorite combination, like a sandwich and a film. So,
Love it.
so eating while watching, or just eating, like checking out places. Um, I love, like, I love the nature of food, because I think about, because the films I make take so long. Like, my first film took 12 years, and the ratio of making something and the point of consumption is always skewed. So I make something for 12 years, and people will watch it in 90 minutes. That's it. So
Yeah.
and my film, it's same with any art form. So I like that when I eat. I'm reminded of that when I eat. So somebody took 2 hours to make this, or an hour, and it'll be done in 5 minutes. So food is an art form that is very ethereal. Yeah, what's the word? Effervescent. I don't know, just something that goes away very quickly,
Yeah.
and it's gone. But all you have are the memories of it. So yeah, so I like eating. Like if you're ever in the Philippines,
Oh, we're gonna
I
eat. I gotta make
we
some
are gonna
visits,
do a
but we
food
definitely gotta
crawl.
go out to eat.
We're gonna. I'll take. What's your favorite ShoPow, by the way? What's your go-to?
Actually, what's crazy? Everybody, because the name of the show is ShoPowSho.
Mhm.
My mom fed me so much ShoPow as a kid that I OD'd on ShoPow, and it's actually like I'll maybe eat it once a year, if that now. And that's when I used to eat it like every day. But so like the reason why it's ShoPowSho is because it just sounded cool. ShoPowSho.
Yeah,
That's why
show
it's
show.
show
Yeah,
exactly show. My actually favorite food is tocino.
okay.
Yeah. I like kare kare, but like my favorite dish is just simply just give me some tocino and rice and patis, and I'm
Oh,
set. That
so it's like
is literally
sweet
my
and
favorite dish.
salty, like fighting there. Yeah.
Yeah.
When
Um,
you get here, I'll take you to this place. There's this Mexican fusion place, and they make kare kare burrito. So it's like they use crispy pork, slather it with like this bagoong sauce, and with the peanut rice and the veggies, and wrapped in a burrito. So it's like super like it blows your mind.
that sounds so delicious. I love that. Yes, please. What is your favorite Filipino dish?
uh, hmm. I make adobo. I love adobo because it's my pandemic food. Like you make
Yeah.
a batch and then you can eat it for 2 months, you know? So I love the longevity of adobo because it's like immortal. But maybe taste for taste, it would be a combination of like crispy sisig paired with paku, which is a fern. So it's like a fern that you add like salted egg and tomatoes to. So you get heaven and hell, you know, bad for your heart, good for your blood. So that's how I like to eat. You'd have both, you know, the angels and the demons wrapped on your plate always. So you
I
should be
love
pairing
that.
that casino with tomatoes, you know. So there's the you get some vitamin C in there. Like,
I love that. Oh, that's so awesome. I had an interview with a vegan cooking show coming to HBO earlier today, and they're like, "We can make Filipino food with vegan style." I'm like, "No, you can't. There's just certain stuff that just can't be. It needs to be this." But I love it.
someone there's a funny anecdote. It's like I saw this post from a friend of mine. It's like who's a vegetarian. It's like, hey, I ordered who's American, and then he took home like a vegan longanisa. He thought it was vegan, but it's from vegan in Ilocos, and it's like made of beef and pork fat. It's like this doesn't taste vegan. But he mistook it because it's like vegan is a place in Ilocos in the north of the Philippines, and you know, yeah. So
I love
yeah,
that.
it's hard to. Although there's this there is when I'm trying to feel healthy, there's this restaurant called Pipino, and they make vegan Pinoy food. And they do make a mean kare-kare, vegan kare-kare. So they have like um they use like black beans to make bagoong. Pretty good, pretty good.
Yeah.
Like so, but of course, nothing beats pig fat. So
I know I need to eat healthier, and my wife, because my family's starting to become vegans, but there's just certain Filipino dishes, I'm sorry, that just no, I can't. But
yeah. My
I'm trying.
sister married into a vegan family in America, but her rule is when she's in the Philippines, that turns off. So she has to have her fried bangus, you know, she has to have her sinigang.
Yes.
But in the States, she'll do it. She'll, and it's easy in the States because you have all the great. I mean, you have your Beyond Burgers
Yeah.
to satiate your meaty needs. But in the Philippines, or when she got her citizenship, she celebrated by eating in a Filipino restaurant when she was sworn in. She said, "Oh, I just renounced my Filipino citizenship. I have to eat my Filipino back again." I was like, she was sending pictures. I was like, so what's that kare kare made of? And that crispy pata made of? Oh, it's real kare kare and it's real crispy pata. I need to eat back what I just gave up. Because when I don't know if you had to go through that, but I think you're naturally born. But when you
Yeah.
transition from being Filipino to American, you literally have to swear off your
Yeah.
nationality, and that brings people to tears because it's
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
you're betraying your motherland. Of course,
I've been
my
there with other family and friends that it's heartbreaking, and
it's
I understand.
heartbreaking.
Yeah, yeah. I was
But
naturalized because of my parents, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Because
Um, I love that. I could go on for food forever with you, Avid, because I think we're both very hungry folk, and I love that. So we definitely have to eat whenever I come there, or if you ever come here, please as well. I will take you out. Let's get. Oh man, I didn't realize the time. I could talk with you forever, Avid. As we close it out a little bit, ZSAZSA ZATURNNAH, that we started off talking about, we want to make that a reality. That is a passion project of yours. And we're going to make that a reality, Avi. But also outside of that, we know how much that project means to you. What also do you want to say with your talent and with your skills and with your voice? What else? What are other projects that you are interested in doing or eventually doing? And what do you want to just speak to the world with your art and yourself?
Yeah, so our studio is currently working on another film called El Arcangel. It's also based on a Filipino graphic novel made by a great comicero as well. So it's basically kind of like Constantine, but in Philippine squatters area. So you have this little girl fighting who can fight all sorts of mythological beasts from the tikbalangs and all the scary monsters. But her powers are nothing compared to the brutality of the police. So it's set during the bloody Filipino drug war that happened, still happening now, but not as bad as it was just a few years back. So we're working on that. So it's basically, as a studio, we just want to rep. We just want to put brown characters on the screen. So like so that more, we are trying to just show. Like I said, I grew up in Marvel Comics, and all I wanted to be growing up was not Filipino. So now that I'm all grown up and I'm still Filipino, I want to make it. I want to do my part in making Filipino a bit easier, a bit to have more
Pride.
more pride, no real pride, because we have
Yeah.
Pinoy pride. Pinoy pride is a thing, but the weird thing about Pinoy pride, it's always tied to validation from first world institutions.
True.
Pride is something that's internal, that should be internal. Like
Yes.
you are proud because no matter what, you are proud of who you are because you are who you are. So that's what I want. That's what I hope to do with. That's what our studio hopes to do with the work we do. Like let's just, and we're not trying to preach. We are just going out there. We are repping. We show you what our country looks like, what our culture looks like, how our characters are different from your Marvel characters, and we still love all of that. We still love anime. We still love Marvel. We still love Disney. We're just offering something different, and we hope more people get to look at it, and we hope more of our countrymen, we hope more Filipinos here in the Philippines and people across the pond think of us the same way. Like I notice this a lot with I notice how Filipinos abroad constantly ask for representation, but at the same time don't really look at the stuff that's being made in their home country. So representation is important, but also take a look at the stuff being made at home, because there's a lot of great stuff here. And that's how, our Korean brothers were able to do it. They just supported what's back at home and they brought it out, and now people are like, love Korean films and love Korean music. And someday I hope, we get to do that. So in our lifetimes, maybe hopefully your child grows up and she doesn't have to go through the identity crisis that we went through, and she'll just grow up and just be proud of her heritage.
Definitely. Oh, I love all of that. Thank you for saying all that, Avi. I got so many, man, I hope we can stay in touch, and I want to definitely have you back to do more discussions, interviews, conversations, promote. I want to give you your flowers all the time because I think you're going to do so many great things. And I think this project with ZSAZSA is going to be so important and so impactful. Oh, I have so many other questions, but due to time, we got to cut it a little bit. To close this out, well, one of the questions I like to close out with is, because ShoPowSho is part of the NRW, my studio, Nerds Rule the World. We're proud nerds, and of every denomination, color, sex, all of that. So, for you, Avid, are you a card carrying nerd? And if you're and as a nerd, what are you most nerdy about? We already know you love art, but what else besides art is Avi nerdy about? And what could you give like a nerd TED style talk on outside of art that we already know? We know you're an artist, but what else can you talk efficiently as a nerd about?
Well, I'm big on labor laws. So it's a very, like, every time I do an artist talk, I'm invited to schools and people always ask me what is their advice, what is my advice for young artists. I always say, first, learn the very boring stuff because you're a worker. Learn all about your rights as a worker, because that's a thing here in the Philippines. You mentioned a while ago that a lot of foreigners come to the Philippines for the cheap labor. It gets worse because, as artists, we're so excited to always just be a part of something creative. And the business people, they know that. So young artists are always easily abused. There are many studios here in the Philippines that don't pay minimum wage, get the animators to work for 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they're just rewarded with pizza. So horrible working conditions, and the young kids don't know that they're being abused at all, because as a creative person, you really just want to be part of something cool. You just want to be part of the cartoons that you grew up watching. You want to say that I worked on that. So you take on so many shitty working conditions. And so, yeah, I could give a TED talk on labor laws and rights of workers. But that's a very recent thing. Like I said, I didn't know all of that. It was only until I looked deeper into this. So yeah, so that's. And of course, I could join an X-Men trivia show, and we could, go.
Oh man, Avi, I love that. I love you, man. I love everything that you're about. Oh, hey, there we go. That is amazing, and I love that, and I love what you're trying to do, and use your voice to make a difference, and just man, I've again, like I said, I did a little bit of research earlier, heard a lot about you, and just now this conversation, man, just I would hang out with you all the time. We would be best friends if we were so much closer. But we're gonna be good friends. We're gonna keep reaching out. So, this was an amazing conversation. And again, let's make ZSAZSA ZATURNNAH a reality, people. I know I'm gonna go back in to show more support, but we're gonna make that a reality. And man, I can't wait to see what you're gonna do next. And I can't wait for our next conversation, Avid. This is such a pleasure.
Cool.
All right, y'all. There you go. Avid Liongoren. I know I'm probably messing up the name, but you are brilliant. You are amazing. I love you as a person, and I love you in what you're trying to do with the world. It's so important, making a difference. Salamat, mahal kita to you and to my audience. Salamat po, mahal kita. That is another ShoPowSho. Go support ZSAZSA ZATURNNAH. All the links are in the description below. I'm Kuya P. That's Avid. Nerds rule the world. Mahal kita. Salamat. There's a cut. And I'm gonna pin myself to be the only one on screen, and then I'll unpin after I introduce you, so that we're both on the screen. All right, and there we go. Let me get a drink of water, because I've had 3 interviews right before I started with you, because I like record late. Sometimes it's crazy. So I'm gonna give you all my energy, Avid. Let's have some fun. In a 1, 2, 3.